Good evening. Welcome to the Crestwood Board of Education study session, Monday, May 20, 2024. We'll call the study session to order at 5:31. Mr. Secretary, can we get a roll call, please?
Trustee Amen is here. Vice President Baydoun.
Haas is just running a couple minutes behind. He'll be here shortly.
Okay. Trustee Fawaz.
Here.
Trustee Janoon.
Here.
Trustee Saba is not here. Trustee
He's out
Williamson.
of town for work. I just want to put that on record. So, go ahead.
Where's Trustee Baydoun?
There he is.
Madam President.
Here? Okay. So topic of discussion is potential 2024 bond conversation.
Thank you, Madam President, Board. So we are at that juncture now, and I'll go over next steps very soon. But we, as the board is aware, I appreciate my team presenting, as well as the committee, the community committee presenting last board meeting and sharing the information concerning their findings and their requests. So this presentation is to answer some of the questions that were given by the board about the potential 2024 bond, and also to, again, just reiterate a few things before moving forward, as well as talking about next steps. So to begin, one of the questions that was asked, why the Crestwood Freshman Academy? I had sent this document to the board, and basically, just going off of the document here, when you talk about a freshman academy, the information in this document really focuses on creating a school within a school. Research indicates, and this is one of the reasons why we want to move fifth grade back to the elementaries, is research indicates that the most crucial time in a student's career are two transitional periods, fifth grade as well as ninth grade. Those two transitional periods really make a difference in the student's ability to grow, as well as their social and emotional growth. The freshman academies, there are many of them across the United States. In some school districts, they literally have a school designated just for the freshmen. Like they built an actual brick and mortar where it's a freshman academy. Those are more of the newer school districts that have a lot of land and they were building their district from scratch. Or they were expanding their district because of a large growth in student enrollment. Where in our situation is, in order for us to be fiscally responsible, we can create that because we have the space at Crestwood High School. And what the Freshman Academy would focus on is that transition. Teaming of students, where students would be placed on teams. So, they would have an English language arts teacher, a math teacher, a social studies teacher, and a science teacher who would be part of a team. Those four teachers would then have the same students all year to help build their strengths and their abilities. As the board is aware, we've made some adjustments in our high school in order to meet the needs of our students. And those adjustments have prepared our students where when they complete their freshman year currently, they then can go career paths if they choose, with our partnerships with Henry Ford College, the dual enrollment, the advanced placement, so on and so forth. What the Freshman Academy will do is it will enhance that. It will take that even a step further. Something that is extremely crucial when you look at this is the curriculum and instruction, as well as staffing and PD. When you look at the Freshman Academy, we can literally pinpoint what the curriculum is going to look like in that academy based on the needs that the students are coming from the middle school. It does not take away their opportunities to be in electives such as the arts or the industrial trades. It does not take those opportunities away. It actually enhances those opportunities because when they complete their freshman year, one of the things that we're doing and we want to expand upon are IDPs, individualized development plans for students. And that's a focus of what are your goals? What are your wishes? What are your ambitions? Not every student is a four-year university-bound student, but we want to treat every student as such and let them make those choices for themselves. Moreover, with our current partnerships with Henry Ford College, and if this bond goes through and Riverside Middle School becomes a CTE center as well, we can then even expand upon that for students who want to go into the skilled trades. As you're all aware, right now there has been, 20 years now, a shortage in skilled trades in our country. I know building the Hudson Center, the Hudson Building downtown, they had to bring in welders, I think from Germany and all over the world to come in. These opportunities become even more amplified for our students because we'll have a career track process. The other piece too is staffing and PD. We, as the board and the community is aware, we've been focusing a lot on social emotional growth, resilience, and empathy. Our freshmen need that the most. Like right now, we have a 9th grade lead teacher. We have different teachers who are working specifically with our 9th graders. This will also help in that process. So when we talk about the Freshman Academy, it really focuses very much on the student supports, extracurricular promotions and engagement, and then a transitional support and planning. So, and I know that was one of the questions, like there was a request for more detail on what that Freshman Academy would consist of. Additionally, if we are to, in part of the presentation, I'll come back to it, if we are to move forward and do a 2-story or 1-story in 10 classrooms, and I'll talk about the recommendations from the architect as well, that will create a school within a school. Our freshmen will be completely separated from the rest of the school, so it's less intimidating for them, and they have enough time to transition and to build self-awareness for high school. So I'll stop there and see if you have any questions on the academy.
Madam Chair?
Sure.
So, Dr. Masalam, you touched on building the 9th graders, which is awesome, but is there an issue right now with the 9th grade? Because I'm hearing, and I don't know enough to give my opinion, obviously, but how does the data correlate from 9th to 10th grade? If you take student A, for an example, and let's just say he's a 5 academically. When he gets to 10th grade, does he drop to 4, or does he go up or stay 5 or go to 6? I don't know. Is this like data driven? Do we need it, or is it something just to better the district? I don't know the answer to that.
It's a combination. It is data driven because when we look at ODRs and we look at social emotional needs, a lot of that occurs in the freshman level.
So it's more behavior.
No, social emotional needs, because not all ODRs go to behavior. Okay. It's more in terms of students need like additional support from their counselor. They're having a hard time transitioning into the high school. So when you look at where the highest needs are from social emotional growth, not just behavior, it's at the freshman level.
Got it.
Now, our high school has done a very good job thus far of trying to separate, but as you know, our high school is currently crowded in terms of passing time and everything, where this will reduce that as well and reduce the amount of intimidation that a lot of students have coming into a building like that, being around.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Academically, the data across the nation shows that with a dedicated 9th grade academy, there is growth academically for the students because of the focus.
So they go from 5 to 6.
There's an improvement.
And then separating the freshmen completely, so we do that with the 5th graders today,
Correct.
right? How is the ODRs in 6th grade compared to 7th and 8th?
So right now, I could tell you, looking at the ODR data, our biggest struggle with ODR data right now is our 6th grade group. And a lot of that, there's a lot of factors at play there. Even though we have our 5th graders separately in a completely different part of the building, they are still in the realm of middle school. And this building isn't very accommodating for 10-year-olds, just the way the building is designed. This building was designed to be a high school. It was never designed to be a 5-8 building. So when you look at the 5th grade and the 9th grade, it's comparing apples and oranges.
Got it.
Because those 5th graders are 10, our 9th graders are 14. So as we all know, there's a major growth between that time.
Okay.
But we have noticed with our 5th graders, though, being that we're being very specific, and there's going to be some additional scheduling adjustments next year. So for example, in the middle school, in order to keep the 5th graders still more designated to the side, we're going to be adding another music teacher to middle school, which is going to allow for an additional rotation, so there's less, and so that's where this all comes into play.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Any other questions on the academy?
Dr. Masalam, I don't remember, so I apologize. Does the academy call for a separate building for 9th grade?
It won't be a separate building. It would be the 10 new classrooms that we build in addition to other classrooms that would be in the vicinity. So they would be separated technically by the rest of the school within their own.
Madam Chair. So I know some other ninth grade academies in other districts, what they would do is when the kids come in, they start picking a career path. Are we gonna be doing something similar?
So similar, but not exactly. I'm of the philosophy, we don't want kids to pick a career path in ninth grade and then they have to stick to it, because they can change.
Yeah.
We want our kids to experiment in different career paths. That's why the ninth grade academy will help, because from ninth grade to 10th grade, they can dabble in different things. Where come second semester, 10th grade, they can come and say, you know, I really enjoy doing this. I want to dual enroll in this in 11th grade. Or when we create the CT academy here, because if we create the CT academy here, we're going to focus on the highest jobs that are needed right now that are for the future, i.e., well, I don't mean to use that acronym, but AI and computer science, medical field like nursing, and then criminal justice and education. And the reason why with the career fields like welding, woodworking, we still have some of those things in our district, but it's cost prohibitive for us to build those centers in our district, where in turn we have the partnership with Henry Ford College, where they're gonna go there and they're gonna get the newest technology that they're gonna be trained on. So it's a combination of things.
As far as trades, would they have the ability to take all their courses and do their time during their 4 years of high school and actually be certified when they walk out the door, or they'll still have to after that?
So a lot of times with the certification, you have to get apprenticeship hours. So
Right.
what would happen is if they take courses dual enrolled, they would knock those courses out prior to leaving us, where then they would speed up their opportunity to become certified, you know, within a shorter amount of time once they graduate from us.
So
Because
they
there's
would
certain
just have
courses,
their apprenticeship after?
they would have to go through the college, they would have to take a couple courses at the college and then apply for an apprenticeship or get a job for an apprenticeship. But they'll be ahead of every other person that goes into the college.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Go back. Thank you, David, for making this work. Another question that came up was the previous bond. How much money did we save on the previous bond? And if I miss anything, please, Jamal, jump in. Penny as well. In the previous bond, Penny and the team, we were able to identify about $1.7, $1.8 million that was not specifically allocated to some of our needs. So what we did was, in the scope of the bond, we identified as a school district, where can we move this money in order to help our specific needs at that time. And this is a breakdown of all of that. And as you can see, it all revolved, a lot of it revolves around, the big purchase here was new fire alarms in every building. This was an area that was a desperate need, so we were able to move about $800,000 out of that 1.7 million to get all of our fire alarm systems up to code and up to speed, brand new. We were able to use a little less than $500,000 to support the outdoor athletic facility, as well as we added new gym bleachers. You all know what those gym bleachers used to look like. They were dangerous. They weren't very good, so we were able to do that. And then the best asphalt settlement, that was that situation that I think it was a lot, you as board members inherited, we inherited, and that was a settlement which it worked out for our benefit all in all at the end. And we changed out the transformer here, or at Crestwood High School, because that transformer kept blowing. Is there anything else you want to add to that, Jamal?
No, I think the swing gates were very important, as you guys know, securing the facilities at night, because we had a lot of people coming in through the property. So that was a pretty important one. I gotta say, the fire alarms are state of the art and up to date, and is adaptable to all the new construction that we're doing. And that was, a big one, because a lot of them didn't work, a lot of them were false read. We'd be getting calls at night. But honestly, I think that and the transformer, because we couldn't hold voltage and the buildings kept on blowing, and that was a must. So it was kind of like you almost had to do what we had to do. And so I truly believe what we have there is a good portion of what we needed to spend. Penny, is there anything?
And the thing about the land surveys, you have to understand, we have nothing. So I know Penny's always on the phone with the county and the state. Like, we're still trying to we're trying to find and or get the deed to Hillcrest. There's nothing filed. So we're working directly with the Attorney General's office to figure that out. So there's a lot of things in our district that weren't there, like specific blueprints broken down for each school, the land surveys, knowing where our land ends and where the city's land begins. So all of that stuff plays into a role where now we have where whatever we want to do, like when we go with this bond, we got everything ready.
Everything's on file.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about that anymore. And then now we have it electronically filed too, so, you know, in 10 years from now, it's there.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
real quick, do we have plans for every school in our district that are accessible? Because you brought up a good point about security.
Yes, we do now.
We do, so.
And it was part of our EOP, or Emergency Operation Plan. We had to. We didn't have them, so we
I
got
know
those
you
all
said
taken care
before
of.
we didn't have them, so
No.
we have it now.
Yep, we have them all now. Yep.
Who,
Madam Chair?
I forget, so I apologize, but who monitors our fire alarms?
It's
Our
Johnson Controls, and
Yeah.
then,
Is it?
yeah,
Okay.
and then, when we do Cherry Hill, we're gonna look at Wyandotte Alarm for Cherry Hill.
Yeah, we're taking bids now.
I understand the board office will be moved to Cherry Hill, and this might be part of a different portion of the presentation, but do we have plans for what to do with that office or building?
I will leave that in the realms of the board. Whatever decision the board would like to do with our current office, we will support. Yeah, that hasn't been a conversation on our end. That's something more in terms, I'm gonna turn back to the board and say, here are our options. You know, what would you like to do?
Okay, any other questions on this? Go ahead.
So talking about the two-story versus the one-story, this was another question that came about. So in conversations with the architects, the one-story addition at grade would definitely be more economical, okay? It would be, reduce the project cost, at least between $500,000 to $750,000. And the reason for that is because you have stairways, you have stairwells, you have emergency exits, you have to have an elevator, so on and so forth. So if you go one-story, that's that. But the architects, and I agree with them, and I know Jamal does as well, is a two-story option is even though it's more expensive, it'll allow for the greatest impact on the front elevation of the existing school. It will fit well when we change the facade of the front of the school to put two-story there when we redesign the entire front, because it'll also allow us to a chance to encompass a large portion, nearly 1/3 of the existing facade, with a new taller two-story element. So financially, it's more expensive. But logistically, the two-story option is the best option to go, and it fits what we need to do in the facade even more.
It also doesn't take away from the field in the back of the school. As you all know, that are affiliated with sports here, on any given day, we can have up to 150 kids out back there, either playing and practicing football, or playing and practicing soccer, or even baseball. Sometimes they'll come out and get on the field and get some practice in. It doesn't take away, and that space really, right now, is needed because the athletic facility is used 7 days a week, and it's hard to get practice time on that facility field. So that field out there would also help with that.
So they would design this all in, and in the document I had shared with the board in one of my memorandums, it had an actual depiction and an arrow pointing to where it would be each and for.
Madam Chair?
Yeah, go ahead, Sal.
I mean, I like the two-story idea, and I think it would add a lot more space, especially if we grow. But with the one story, you said it would add the additional 10 rooms. With the two-story, how many do you anticipate we'd be able to add? Complete second floor? So, I mean, basically we would double in size, or what are you thinking when you're thinking a second floor?
It would only be a second floor on the new addition. The current building is not built for a two-story building, so the weight distribution and the structure isn't sound for a second floor to be added on top, so it would only be the new construction portion. That would be 2 stories.
So we would extend out the facade, changing the office space and everything, and then the next story would go on top, and that's where the classrooms would be.
The delta's 10, so what?
And the second floor, was that Towards the back or the front?
The front, it would be in the front of the building. Because we're gonna change the entire facade of the building in order to accommodate bus loops, parking, transportation, so on and so forth. We have a beautiful front green space right now in the front, we know
Yeah.
that. But it's not helping us with all of the traffic issues and the congestion that we face and the safety of the students on Beach Daily, as well as the use of Canfield.
Does this new plan account for extra parking?
Yes, there will be additional parking, additional, a change in transportation routes for the building as well.
So basically it'd be coming out towards Beach Daily.
Correct, correct,
So we're gonna come out towards the Beach Daily and build on top.
correct.
So
That would
everything
give
in
a
the front
nice,
punches
fresh
out.
look.
Yeah, so everything in front, including the offices and everything punches out.
Yeah.
So that you have a new facade that'll incorporate what we're building there.
Mhm.
To make it look all as one and date and noon, doesn't look like a prison there.
Nice.
So Madam
That I
Chair,
hear all the time.
Go ahead,
so
David.
is that where the one story would punch out to, through the front?
If we were to do a single story,
Yeah,
the single story would also come out to the front as well.
okay, all right, so then that would, in the future, that it wouldn't give us any more, it's not like, oh, we can do the one story later, it's one or the other.
Correct.
Okay.
So I'm assuming if we did the two-story, when we punch out, we'd punch out less than we
Cor-
would have to do it all, right?
Correct,
So that would still save us some green space, keep us some green space
correct,
in the front?
yes.
We're
Okay.
fortunate, we have a lot of green space out front there.
Yeah,
You know, that we're able to do something like this. I mean, as you know, we're land tied, you know, in this area because we just don't own that much property to do stuff like this.
yeah, I'm just thinking though, because it's such a busy street,
Yeah.
the less further from Beach Daily we are, I just think the better.
Yeah, I think we'll have a lot of space in between.
Yeah, cause we don't have a side street, like you're saying, we're landlocked, we don't even have a side street to go on, everything you turn into is
Yeah,
the space.
Which also is getting changed, correct if I'm wrong, and Dr. Salam, is the bus loop and how the buses pick up and where all the parents come in to pick up. I think all that gets rerouted and changed to cut down, as Dr. Salam said, on the traffic on, Beach Daily.
so part of this is, we've brought in the company, what was the name of the company, Penny, for the traffic study?
Spalding and Decker.
So they're doing the traffic study now. If you've seen, they've been out there, they could put up those long wire things and cameras and stuff. So that traffic study is gonna also help us in that process as well.
Are we able to, talk to the city about taking any of the, land from Canfield?
So one of the conversations I've had with some city officials was, you know, if they don't have any intentions on building out of Canfield in that space where we currently use parking, we would like to use that space for parking, and they're amenable to it. We just we're waiting to see, you know, if the bond passes, and, cause I wanna actually like bring plans to them and say, okay, look, this is what we'd like to do, you know, we'd like, so on and so forth. I don't wanna come and say, hey, we wanna do this and not have any plans. So it's like, the conversation has taken place so that they're aware that we're considering coming and asking, but nothing official or like, yes, you can, or no, you can't. So.
Okay.
So there, one adjustment, so there is an adjustment to the budget, and I'll discuss that in a moment. So Crestwood High School right now is at 57 million, rounding up, and we're at 120 million total. So I asked the architects to give us a price if we put lighting on a new softball and baseball field. Now, I know some of the conversation was, our our baseball program is diminishing, are we still gonna have a baseball program? I always wanna say, yeah, I hope we do, you know, but I have some good news. I didn't share this with Penny yet, but things have just been happening fast, Penny, sorry. The good news is, U of M Dearborn has reached out to us, and they wanna increase their contract with us to $70,000 a year if we build a baseball and softball field, where then we will be 100% their home facilities. So we're discussing that with them. Right now, we get $25,000 from U of M Dearborn a year for the football and the football and lacrosse. Where if we go baseball and softball with them, they would give us $70,000 a year.
But we'd have to build it out?
We'd have to build it out. So I asked the architects to give me a cost of lights, and the reason for that is because it'll also give us some flexibility, and it'll allow us to do other partnerships with other organizations to use those. I know, like with Elite, we have the common agreement that will give them opportunities to use our fields as well. So if we were to go lights on the baseball and softball fields, it would increase the budget by about $920,000. That includes fees. Because it would be $275,000 for the softball field and $675,000 for the baseball field. You know, my concern of also not building out the baseball and softball field is I believe if we don't, we help kill the program. I believe if we build it, we can help build the program. I'm of the mindset and philosophy, forgive me, but I believe if you build it, they will come. And when you have facilities that people want to be part of, they will. And our biggest thing is, and speaking with, people like Mike Mackey, who is actively involved and was actively involved in Dearborn Heights baseball, is we got to work together with the city to identify how we're going to rebuild this baseball program. And if we have the fields, we become that center. Now, right now, if you've been to the outdoor, I know a lot of you have been out for facilities, we're still waiting on the permanent sign. This is taking forever to come. But like you see, University of Michigan Dearborn athletics everywhere. That also gives a sense of pride. That was one of the things, if board members remember, that was one of the big things I wanted to do when I came in as superintendent, was to make sure that our district was a hub. And, a lot of our former Crestwood athletes are playing on their field again with the University of Michigan Dearborn. So that's just something to keep into consideration. If we were to go that route, it would jump up to about 121 million. Now, if we wanted to keep it at 120 million, we could find some other areas to cut. But also remember too, as I discussed with the board previously, this is with, what's the percentage? I forget, of added fees. I forget, it's one other presentation.
So you're estimating that the field and the lights would cost $1 million?
Both fields and the lights would cost $1 million with fees, but those fees include contingency costs that are factored in that may not even occur.
Mm-hmm.
So with both fields and the lights, it would be close to another $1 million.
Madam Chair?
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Sam. I was thinking.
Don't we still have some of the students for baseball and softball using the Field of Dreams?
Dearborn Heights baseball doesn't exist. That is what Field of Dreams was used for. Now, Elite does use those fields every so often. I'm not sure if they've used them this year, but in the past, the way it worked was there was Dearborn Heights Baseball League that used those fields regularly, but the league diminished to the point where they stopped running the league. So what we're hoping is that we can recapture that and rebuild it.
Well, it's still leased out to them, right? So how?
It's not leased out to anyone. It's part of the agreement with Elite.
They don't pay a lease, they just do the upkeep.
They take
You
care
get
of the
to use
maintenance of it for
So it's
us.
not a lease agreement, yeah.
So nobody's using the field?
I don't know if they've used it or not lately. I would have to ask my athletic director.
I-
Yeah, please.
Right now, the field is underwater, and it's not even able to be walked on. All the grass you walk on, you're getting soaked. So he's waiting for all that to soak up and dry. What he's been doing is revamping the baseball diamond at Elite and the softball to use for those younger kids.
For Crestwood?
Crestwood and younger kids.
The Dearborn Heights Diamondbacks.
Yeah, they're able to switch all the bases and the pitching mound shorter, so we're constantly changing that stuff back and forth because of this. Once Field of Dreams dries up, we've had a tremendous amount of rain. Once it dries up, we'll be able to utilize those fields.
Yeah, I think Haas's point is everything ultimately, our kids
Our
can
kids,
benefit
Crestwood,
from.
yeah.
Our kids, our
all the
kids,
kids,
our
yeah.
Because of the drainage on there, that's the reason why we can't use it for softball and baseball season here.
Mhm.
Just because we play so early in the spring, and with all the rain and all of that, it never gets dry enough for us to use it.
So even if we were to consider that area for ourselves as being home field where the Field of Dreams is, we'd probably have to put tons of money into drainage.
Oh, it would be a lot more than what we're doing.
Drainage and raising the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, because don't forget, we already updated the drainage in our current facility because of the outdoor complex. So we've created new underground drainage system that we would be able to tap into.
Billy? No?
And when is our concession stand our building be up and running?
So we're just waiting on the state inspector.
We're waiting on the sink to be installed, because before we can get health department approval to serve anything out of there, we need a 3-compartment sink. And so because it was custom made originally thought, and we had some other things, we had to wait to get that in, so.
Which is now in.
Oh, I didn't know it got in today.
It's now in, and we're getting the plumber in to come and hook it all up.
Okay, sorry.
So that, I apologize, that just happened the other day.
Okay.
So we're working on that, and then Sana, the food director, is helping us going through the certification of concession stand.
A lot of stuff happening.
Any other questions on this page?
So, Dr. Masalam, it's less than 1%.
It is.
That's what you're proposing. It's less than 1%.
It's less than 1%. The other thing too, and I keep reiterating, that this number includes contingency costs. Contingency costs, I think, are at 30%. So if you underspend, you know, you may not end up spending 121 million. You could end up spending 115. You know, I'm just giving, and I have a lot of faith in our team to find those opportunities. And hopefully, you know, that's always our case, is to look for opportunities. So again, this is just a refresher. This is the key thing. I know the community committee emphasized this, why they were willing to go with 120 million, because of the fact of, and this is estimated, but the fact that, you know, if you go between 120 million and, you know, 90 million, the difference in cost is not, it's not extensive. You know, so if you look at, so right now I believe we were told the average in Dearborn Heights is about a taxable value is about 150,000. That's about the average. So even if you wanted to bump that up to 200,000, you're looking at from 90 million, $75.17 to 120 million at $105. And that's a month. That's per month. You know, so the community, and our whole thing is, and I know the board's whole focus is, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right, because we don't want to come back to the taxpayers in 5 years, 10 years. We want to be able to do this right so that we're in good shape for the long haul. And when we looked at it, that 90 million number really will just get us where we need to be in terms of infrastructure and need. It won't be able to do, like, taking us to the next level. And I've always said, as a school district, people choose school districts, you know, of course, for success, but you could be the most successful school district, and if your infrastructure is struggling, people won't choose you. Also, people choose school districts based on programming. And when schools offer different kinds of programming, like the CTE Center, you know, the different things that we want to do, that will attract, you know, future students as well. One of the things we're noticing in our school district right now is, you know, a lot of families, we're having a larger transient population in certain areas because they can move to another school district, pay less taxes based on residential home tax for a larger home because they need to grow. We want it to be where we don't want people to want to move. We want them to stay. And we have to develop programming. We have to develop an infrastructure where they want to stay.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
So, based off the chart, depending on what the value of your home is, really the taxpayer's looking at anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 per year increase, right?
Yeah.
Little
less than 3,000, yes.
And then from this data, how many homes, for this estimate's purpose, what did it include? I mean, because obviously it didn't include all of Dearborn Heights, because we can't. It would just include our district. How many residents or I guess homes did you include for this?
So it's not the number of homes you include. You look at the taxable value of your school district. And we know within our school district, our taxable values range between 50,000 and $500,000. Now, if there's a $2 million home that has a taxable value of $1 million, well, they would just have to double that number. But when you look at that $500,000, that's a $1 million taxable value home. And these ranges are what we have in the Crestwood area, because we do. We range from homes that are 120, 150,000 all the way up to 1.2, 1.5 million.
Well, not only that, I mean, this is an investment in your home, because if you're building a school, if you're getting out of this what it promises, if you're getting all of these upgrades to your school district, that brings your tax value up.
It does.
So, I mean, makes your house more appealing.
So with all of that, isn't that going to change all of these numbers, if we have a smaller amount of people paying?
No.
it's- Those numbers are based off of our total taxable value in our area. So they look at what we receive on state aid and what gets sent up to the state for our taxable value for this area and figure those numbers based on that data.
Go ahead, Hans.
So I just want everybody to be clear that it's not what your house is worth. So if you think your house is worth 500, 600, 700,000, that's not the case. This is when you get that little pink thing in the mail and it says your house is worth half of or a quarter of what you think it is.
Your taxable
That's-
value, right.
Exactly, that's the number that you would use,
Dave?
correlating it to one,
On him, question, I'm sorry.
whatever per month, so times 12.
And we know in Dearborn Heights right now, a lot of homes are going for more than they're technically worth,
Yeah.
but the taxable value is different than that.
Right, I understand it'll be your taxable value. It's gonna range really for each resident between 1,000 and 3,000, right?
So if you were to take the 50,000, 26 times 12, what is that, 200, times 10 would be $260, so that could be $500 a year. So you're ranging between 500 and about,
But that's on
Less than
$50,000.
no, that's on a $50,000 taxable
He
value.
said the range.
$100,000 house.
Yeah,
Basically.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of homes in our district that are between 100 and 150,000.
Or a lot of people who've been in their homes for a long time.
Correct.
Have the older taxable value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like myself.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Me too.
Exactly.
My house is
Right.
04.
So it doesn't matter how many homes are in those areas, it just matters what your taxable value is, and then the Department of Treasury will actually come up with an exact number and how that would be. This is just estimated based on the current estimations.
And I think it's great we're providing this because this is what people wanna know, right? At the
Yeah.
end of the day, everybody wants to know, okay, this is great. What's this gonna cost me?
So
And I think this is an investment people are willing to make.
being part of the committee, that was a lot of the talk. And what did this break down to per household? And it came up, we actually had a real estate, I gotta believe, expert who's been in the business for almost 30 years, his knowledge of the area. And he basically broke this down to how much per household roughly would be. And then Dr. Masalam took it and says, you know what, let's drive a chart, because he's always data. You know, let's drive a chart so people can see it for themselves. And that's what was created on this.
Okay, any other questions on this?
So I'm almost done. I won't open this. This would be just showing you the updated scope with the softball and baseball field. It's the same thing you've seen before. There is one adjustment I need to make. My apologies. In the previous presentation, it said 500 less students at the middle school. It's 300 less students. So I just wanted to make that adjustment with the board and the community. Again, improved traffic, potential reduction in bus routes, career tech center, and then updates for the building. For the elementary schools, become home for 5th grade, more social and emotional development. We're gonna enhance the district facilities. The high school, again, the 9th grade academy, the new double gym. So currently, you know, most schools have 2 or 3 gyms now. You know, so the current gym we have would be retained as a gym. It would be an auxiliary gym. And then we would build a double gym. We'll have for wrestling, locker rooms, weight room. I mean, all up to par facilities for our kids. I don't know if you've been in the things that the kids go to. Like, we really can't even use the locker rooms right now. I wouldn't want to use it. I wouldn't want my kid using it. With the redesign, there'll be alleviating crowding in the hallways and passing time. Talked about the CTE center. We're going to be improving the drama and band opportunities for all students, enhancement in theater. Again, more options. It's going to focus on all programs. It's not going to just help one program. It's going to help STEAM. It's going to help STEM. It's going to help drama, performing arts, athletics. It's going to help robotics. It's going to help all those areas. So you're not looking at just one program.
And the core subjects with science.
Yeah.
Because of the labs that we need to put in.
Updated labs. Infrastructure, the unseen, the things that Jamal knows about. The pictures that we showed you, and there's more pictures coming. The plumbing, the electrical, the boilers, the infrastructure, the energy.
Is the 120, I keep forgetting, is the 120 with AC everywhere?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, everyone would get air conditioning with the 120 across the board.
Yeah.
Okay?
I
And
mean, and this, I just want to stop at this point for, even for those watching at home. I just want everyone to understand, it's May 20th, and you're at 86 degrees right now. So as we get into year by year, we are seeing much hotter weather earlier,
Yes.
you know, so, and we can't cut the school, you can't cut the school year short.
No.
So if you get those really, really hot days, I mean, it's, what I'm saying is it's not a convenience anymore. Now you're looking at a health issue.
And if we want to do more summer programming, academics, it's going to help everybody when we do that as well. Jamal, do you want to add something?
If you walk through the schools right now, it's actually miserable in those schools. Teachers complaining, students complaining,
Yeah.
staff working, our janitorial staff is complaining, custodial staff, our maintenance staff, everybody's complaining because it's just like a boiling center. You know, there's just no air movement, and that's a huge problem. Again, like Ms. Osei said about being that much hotter this early in the year.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why the community wanted to go forward with the air conditioning is when they saw this chart. Because it's a $10 million difference. At 110 million, you know, you're looking at $3.
Right,
You're looking at $30.
right.
That's the way you really gotta look at it, because
Yeah.
that's the way the committees looked at it. And as soon as, because a lot of the committees said, no, take it out, we don't need it. As soon as this came up and they did this data, everybody changed, and that's why we all came up with, yeah, 120 million, let's do it, put the air conditioners in. That $30 a year is well worth it.
So on top of that, the air conditioning, solar paneling, we're gonna look at putting solar paneling in our district to help with those energy costs. And there's a lot of federal government programs out there, especially that we can use. Concrete and masonry work and improve traffic and parking controls. So next steps. Today's presentation was for me to give to the board. It's not a vote. I would just need a verbal okay from the board to move forward with the scope that was presented to you, either 120 or 121. And with that said, we would then turn it over to our architects and our attorneys to start drawing up the language, which then would come the vote in the next board meeting, which then would allow us to go ahead and put it on the ballot.
So do we have a consensus for Dr. McCollum to move on?
I would
It's
say-
not a vote,
It's
that's
not
why
a
it's
vote.
I
a
would say
study session.
121.
Yeah, I would go with the one
If you're
twenty.
going
Would you mind?
Going one
I mean, yeah, add the fields and the lighting,
For
it
30
doesn't make
cents.
sense not to.
Yeah, basically. So what we'll do is we'll follow up with our architects and our attorneys and say we received verbal commitment from the board to move forward with the $121 million bond. They will draw up all the paperwork, and then we will bring it back. You'll get it prior to, of course, the board meeting, but then we'll come bring it back to the board, and it will be an official vote in our June board meeting. This is exciting. Scary, not gonna lie, but exciting. I mean, this is something we've been talking about. I know people on the board, like Selwa, we've been talking about things like this since I came in, and then when Najah came in, and then other board members that weren't on the board talking to me outside, like, hey, we gotta do more. It's coming to fruition right now, and we're, you know, I can tell you, our team is excited about this, because we truly, truly believe that if this goes through, it will change who we are to the positive drastically. And you know, it will make us a premier district around, you know, the entire spectrum.
Assuming, you know, everything passes, how long do we think this will all take? Like, would it be completed for, say, the 26 school year, 2026?
No,
Or-
I wish. So let me tell you what I've told everybody, because they all think I'm crazy too anyway.
I didn't mean that.
Yeah, we wish. So if it was, so what we're doing, everything we're doing is we're prepping for a yes vote. So that we come January, you know, where we come back from Christmas holiday, New Year's holiday, boom, we jump all over it. The idea behind it is, if it comes back as a yes vote, right away we'll start working on, you know,
We
being-
prioritize what comes first?
prioritizing, getting out the bids, so on and so forth. There's only one thing that I've already said to the team that I want done the summer of 27 or the fall of 27 is the elementary schools to be ready for the fifth graders. That is going to be the one thing, 27, because if we vote January 25, gives you 2 years. You know, because my whole thing is I want the fifth graders back in their elementary schools as soon as possible. I want that to be our first priority.
So like the
Because there's
freshman,
other things we can do in that time as well.
the freshman academy, you don't anticipate that until,
That might be a year later, it might be 2 years later. Just because it's,
like 28, 29.
yeah, because it's all about coordinating, so that's where Jamal's expertise comes in.
So what happens is if this bond passes November, all right, so now we got a green light, now we can move forward. It takes 4 to 6 months just to get the blueprints even done. You know, because you got conversations, what we need, what we don't need, what are we gonna move forward for? You know, and then we gotta go through the bid process. That takes time. Heck, how long did it take, Penny, roughly?
So when we did the current elementaries, we started the projects in the bids and everything, if I'm not mistaken, in November. We just finished it 23-24 school year, so in November of 21, if I'm not mistaken. That sounds about right, maybe.
And we were still dealing with COVID backlogs at that time too.
Right, and so I'd have to go back and look, and then we started the projects in January and we're done by September. So realistically, it was about 9 to 10 months to get those additions done at each of the buildings.
So would you say a fair statement would be like a 5-year plan?
Yes, typically, yes.
I would say minimum 5, maximum 7. And that 7 could be, everything you see is done, but there's things underground, there's things behind the
There's
walls
al-
we're still working on.
There's also things on that list that we can do throughout the school year, the smaller things that we just bid, like some of the roofs you can do over breaks and things like that, so that it'll get done faster than, say, the addition portions.
Where it's not affecting the schools.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, it's a good point Penny and Jamal brought that up, is because there are certain things we can't do while the kids are in session. So
Right.
it puts us against a wall on that.
We
And
will
this
do as much as we can while the kids are in session, because a lot of times we get a cheaper rate when we do it during the school year, because of the fact that everybody's trying to do everything in the summer. So whatever we can do during the school year, we will get scheduled and arranged. Obviously, some things we won't be able to do.
And it's a lot easier to get a workforce in the wintertime than it is in the summertime.
Right.
You know, and that has a lot to do with it.
Okay.
So we're already mentally game planning on A, B, C, once we get that green go. Lining it all up right now, figuring it all out in the process, you know, and, that's the big thing, because if we can get foundations done right away, as soon as we get the frost laws off, we're gonna hit the ground running. You know, that could be done while the kids are in school, because that's not affecting, there's no noise and all that stuff.
Okay.
A question? So in terms of the air conditioning, is like the ductwork and everything is all kind of already set up for it? Or is that something that's gonna kind of come last because all the other building has to come in?
So it'll be done during the summer. There's some areas that have the ductwork. There's a lot that have the unit ventilators that were already been put in during the last bond that can be converted, which is in a lot of the classrooms. So that makes that transition easy. For big ductwork will really be like the gyms and all that area, because those are 1962-ish still. You know, so those all need to be updated. You know, the theaters, the gyms, the cafeterias, all that is 1962 technology, and it, you know, you need to upgrade it because they're not even insulated.
Yeah. So when you anticipate to have everything aired? I mean, it's the same
2028.
timeline?
Just kidding.
Or would it be quicker, or, I mean,
All that stuff will be done in the summer. You
Just
can't do
when
that
it's
during the school year because, you know, there's still kids in the school.
right, okay.
So it'll all be timed out. Like, you know, we will start June 14th on our school year stuff. June 14th, the day we get out is the day we're gonna be there. It'll be mobilized before that, but we will actually start all our construction stuff June 14th.
And I gotta give Penny and Jay a lot of credit on this, cause those univents, the univents that they made sure were put in for that reason, as something that can be used later, instead of investing money in something that we couldn't use. So I gotta give them both credit on that. So hopefully with the air conditioning, there, you know, if we could phase, we will phase, but to put a timeline right now, it's just very
Yeah, I
difficult.
understand.
You know. But again, we did those classrooms in 9-10 months with all the COVID backlog. So hopefully, we don't have another pandemic, and we don't have that backlog again, and we can be able to get things done quicker.
And if you've been by Cherry Hill, you can see how fast they're moving on that portion too of the addition, so, and that didn't start till February
February.
of this year.
And we got held up by a lot of bad weather, rain and everything outside. As soon as
So-
it got closed up, honestly, we're probably a month away from that being finished and, waiting for power to come in. But it goes quick once you get it dry and people inside. It really does.
So are we looking at that being ready by September?
That's the goal.
For the kids, yes, not for central office.
No.
Central office might be January.
Okay, any other questions? Nope. Thank you guys very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the
it.
direction. Thank you, Jamal. I'm all set, Dave.
There are no other items on study session, so I'll take a motion to adjourn. So moved by trustee Amen, seconded by trustee Baydoun. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned at 6:22, sorry. Thank you. We'll be back at 7 PM,
6:30.
6:30.
6:30.